This combo that you see right here, it's the most powerful not only in the entirety of the game, it's the most powerful combo in the entirety of Ninja Gaiden franchise, because this is a combo that has been present ever since the new generation of Ninja Gaidens outside of the arcade Ninja Gaidens, the very first one that launched originally for the Xbox console, and it has been present in every single Ninja Gaiden ever since. Now I do have to tell you that if you're a veteran, you're already familiarized with the combo. I'm happy to say that the combo is still here into the game. And yes, we're going to take quite some time in this video, because I know there's going to be that one person that is going to say you took so much time for just one combo for the whole video. And yes, because I want for new players, this is specifically for new players that are not familiar with this combo, how to do it, why is it so powerful, why was it so powerful in the rest of the entire Ninja Gaiden franchise, when should you be using it, the mistakes that you should be avoiding while making this combo, and so on and so forth. So yes, if you want to take that of this video, then it is this combo right here, and as you can see, it's a meme. It's a meme because it's a staple that has been present in every single Ninja Gaiden. There has been variations, it always cracks me up, but if it is so powerful, it's because there's also a meme about it, dude, and it has been present since the very first game. So let's talk about the basics of the combo first. We're talking about the Izuna drop. And here you will see that the combo is a little bit more convoluted, and the inputs seem to be a little bit more tricky, because you see all of those inputs right in there, and it's tricky to follow because it has a slash right in there, which is to some extent confusing. Basically, you have to ignore the second thing that it says mid-air. The only thing that you have to do is just do the first one, which is X, Y, and well, you have to jiggle the enemy, and I'm using particularly this enemy right in here, so that you're aware that it can be done on elite enemies, and as soon as you jiggle him, this is the combo right in here, and you can spam it as long as you want to, however you want to, whenever you want to, and as you can see, we're going to just unlock the hell out of this guy right in here. They can sometimes dodge it, sometimes it is going to be somewhat tricky to manage to get it, but at the end of the day, you can still spam this thing right in here. Just ignore the side inputs right in there. Now, one more thing for the proper execution of this combo is that, as you can see right here, it has amazing tracking on the Y input, which is the jiggling attack, meaning that you don't necessarily have to connect the first hit before for you actually to jiggle the enemy, because the tracking of the second attack, as you can see on this example that I have for you right in here, it's very, very good, and you're more likely, even when you've missed the first attack, you're still going to jiggle the enemy that you're trying to jiggle. Now, there's also one slight variation that I would like to show you, showcase to you right in here. And this is not necessarily something that you have to do, but it is very useful when fighting against officers or enemies that are going to block you, because when they block you, they prevent for you to jiggle them, as you can see on this example right in here. So what you want to do for those specific enemies, you don't have to, but if you want to be sure about things, is that you open your Raven form. Remember that the Raven form cannot be blocked. They cannot block your attacks in Raven form. So you basically do one single attack on Raven form, which is performed by holding the left trigger and then the light attack. Then you follow up with the regular light attack and then with the jiggle, and that's going to be your start of whenever you're fighting enemies that can block you, as you can see on this example that I have for you right in here. Now let's talk about why is it so powerful and the mistakes that I should be avoiding with this combo. First, the very first mistake that you should be avoiding with this combo right in here, it's you can actually perform it, and as a matter of fact, I was fooled by this when I began playing the game. You can actually perform it without having to purchase the combo. But this is what you're going to see, and if you feel that you're not succeeding in here, that you're taking too much damage, that it is not working for you, then it's probably because you haven't purchased the combo, because weirdly enough, you can do the inputs right in here, and you will see that Yakumo actually does the animation even when he hasn't purchased the combo. But if you do the inputs and you do these animations right in here without having purchased the combo, you're going to lose all of the traits that we're going to talk about right now, the traits that this combo has that make it so powerful. Once you have made sure that you actually did purchase the combo, this is what's going to do. So essentially the startup is very simple, because you have to, the first, it doesn't necessarily have to be, this is a very general combo because it can be done with any single weapon that can jiggle the enemies. It's not going to work against bosses, we'll talk about that and why is that not that bad in a little while. But this is a combo that you can do with virtually any kind of weapon. The first requirement that you need to meet is to jiggle the enemy while you are mid-air. Get the enemy mid-air. With the swords, it's just as simple as pressing the input for X and Y. As you can see right in here, X and Y, that's going to make for the enemy to be airborne, and that is going to allow you to perform the actual combo, which is mid-air, X, 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 Y. That is going to do the Isuna drop. If you actually purchase the combo, Yakumo or Ryu, depending on who you're playing with, is going to hug the enemy. It's going to make this helicopter kind of attack that it is going to fall like a falling star into the ground. And all of that combination right in here, it's just so much powerfulness that you haven't so much things. So, talking about the first one. While you're in the air, it's very difficult for the enemies to deal damage to you. As a matter of fact, you will see throughout the gameplay that I have for you right in here that sometimes they are doing unblockable attacks, and even when they're doing unblockable attacks, I don't really care about those unblockable attacks because I'm going to be airborne, and you basically cannot be touched while you're airborne. Now, you actually can suffer damage while you are airborne by projectiles, by missiles and bullets and arrows and what have you, any kind of projectiles. That is not necessarily always entirely true 100% of the time, because sometimes they're going to impact the actual enemy that you're jiggling into the air, not dealing damage to you. As soon as you manage to activate the combo, which is the actual Isuna drop, you're going to get infinite iframes so long as the animation is happening. So while you see this animation going on, no one can deal damage to you. Which is why this is so freaking powerful, because you're quite literally immortal while you're on this animation right in here. Not only are you immortal and invincible to projectiles, but also to the enemies that are on the ground. Now, the next amazing thing about this combo right in here, and why is it so powerful, and why you should be using it even on purgatory gates if you're having issues with them, it's because whenever you fall into the ground, it deals a massive AoE damage, and well, the damage is not going to be that amazing, but the AoE damage that it deals for stagger, it's tremendously high, which means that whenever you fall into the ground, while you're still having those iframes, not only do you have the iframes, but the enemies are going to be vulnerable to you because you just stagger them. So the only thing that you have to do now is press X again and Y to jiggle the enemy, rinse and repeat infinitely. And yes, it is cheesy, it is somewhat like trivializing the game. But if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're struggling quite a lot, you're just frustrated, you're trying to get that purgatory gate done and things like that, this is what you should be doing. Now, an extra little advice that I have for you is that you should always be targeting and focusing on the ranged enemies, because while I said you're still somewhat safe from them, there's still that 50-50% chance where they're going to throw a missile at you, for example, and they're going to interrupt the combo. They can by all means interrupt the combo, but that's like a 50-50% situation. Sometimes they're going to hit the enemy that you're jiggling into the air, as you can see right in here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to zoom in right in here so you can see that I'm receiving projectile damage, but it is not doing that much to me actually. But just to be on the safe side, you should always be targeting the ranged enemies first, because while they don't have high chances of dealing damage to you, they still have more chances of dealing damage to you than the rest of the enemies, if that makes any sense. Now, I did say that this was going to impact to some extent against bosses. This is a combo that it is not going to work against bosses if you can't jiggle them, which most of them you can't. But what it is going to help you against bosses is that you're not going to have to waste any of those precious resources that you have for the rest of the fights. Because believe you me, if you're abusing this thing, which to some extent I do have to say that sometimes it can be boring, but it's also tremendously fun because of how buttery smooth the experience feels in Ninja Gaiden 4. Then anyways, I digress. Those extra materials and healing items and stuff that you are going to have, you're going to reach the bosses completely full of them if you're abusing this thing, because you're quite literally invulnerable while exploration. So even though that this combo cannot be used against bosses, on bosses you are going to have to necessarily be forced to use the mechanics that you're forced to use, and as a matter of fact I'd say that's something good, because that's the Platinum Games staple. Bosses in Ninja Gaiden 4 feel very different than how they feel on 1, 2 and 3, because those were Team Ninja bosses. Here you have the Raven form and the unblockable attacks and the interrupting the unblockable attacks, so everything is a little bit more dynamic. And if you sum up that you have already the soul of the combo for Ninja Gaiden 1, 2 and 3, and you're reaching those bosses with all of those resources intact, that allows you as well to buy more combos and more things, and to all in all just have more and more resources. So if you want to really reach, you want to be getting as much stuff as possible, you want to reach those bosses with as much resources as possible, this is the combo that you should be using. And then again, it can be like too easy sometimes if you're trying to beat the hardest difficulties of the game. This is what helped me to do so on my previous runs for the previous Ninja Gaiden games. And if it is, there is a good reason on why this combo is a meme well known by the community. Anyways, if you like the content, I like and never super appreciate it. No solo you today, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel, you're in Discord. Have a beautiful day, goodbye.